I'm Gary, Development Manager from Exeter Leukaemia Fund. I'm here today with Todd, ex-professional footballer, current Assistant Manager of Yeovil Town and owner of mental health awareness brand Not On Your Todd. Thanks for joining me today, Chris, to help spread the word and share your story about your journey with leukaemia. Just want to start off really by talking about how you first come about to find out that you had leukemia and the symptoms and the day that you found out you were diagnosed.
Yeah, it was a massive surprise, I suppose I could say, because you don't expect something like that to happen to yourself, being a sports person and being fit and athletic. Well, not so much athletic, but fit for sure. But when I had the phone call, it broke my heart. You know what I mean? You don't expect it. It bursts your bubble. You kind of well surprised with the situation and really taken back. Leaves you in a state of, am I going to survive? Getting that feedback from a doctor I had it from. So it all kind of started. I was having injury problems in football, and a groin injury. Literally went to have surgery. A problem after the surgery, they took an insulin needle out of my hand, and my hand started to bleed quite heavily. And the woman was like, "Have you got any problems with your blood?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm in a good state." Kind of laughed it off, and then I went back to training and try to get fit, as you do as a player. Want to get back on the field, and it took some time. I was struggling with a bit of sort of infection. I eventually got myself to a certain degree of fitness, and then it was literally, I didn't feel right in myself. I was driving along to work to go for another training session, trying to get myself fit, and I passed out with a wheel, and it was really random, and it was kind of like, luckily I was stopped at the time. I was stopped at a roundabout, and I come round and I was like, wow, what's just happened? And I kind of sat there and I thought, something's not right. So I thought I'd ring my club doctor at the time, and I explained the situation. Then I brought up the conversation I had with the nurse who released me from the operation. And he said, "Oh, it'll be nothing. Come in tonight. Or this afternoon after your training session, and we'll get a blood test done, and you'll be fine." So I did it. Within probably 4 hours after training that day, I'd gone home. I was sitting down with my wife and my daughter, just casually in the house, and I get a phone call from a doctor, which, as I said, turned my life upside down, and I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe this, what happened.
Yeah, it just turns your life completely upside down. And how is your mental state at that point? Yeah,
really confused, I think, is probably the word to use, because, as I said, you don't expect that, and then all of a sudden you start reading stuff on the internet straight away after. I asked the question on the phone, am I going to survive, to the doctor, and she said, "I can't tell you that. You'll have to come in tomorrow and we'll do tests and we can get further down the line with it and stuff like that." And so I did it, and it was a little bit like, wow, like this sounds really bad online. I'm really confused. And yeah, going in the next day, having a bone marrow. They take your bone marrow out of you and they test it and give you sort of feedback how they're going to try and treat it. And luckily enough at the time, I had an illness that a new drug had just been brought out at the time, which is about only been sort of 3 or 4 years in trial, and they said, "We're going to try you on this one," which is called Glyvic. So that's what I went on straight away, and kind of went through a journey then of that spell.
Yeah. What did the treatment sort of do to you physically? Obviously you can play football for a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
But what did it do physically to your day-to-day life?
It definitely changed everything, for sure. Because I started becoming very sick and ill. I was feeling very nausea all the time. I had problems with my legs. It was water retention to do with the tablets I was taking, so the chemotherapy drug, and that was horrible because you couldn't sleep properly, and then you were losing your sleep, you were feeling sick. It was not a nice time, and that period lasts for around about sort of 3 or 4 weeks of that really intense sickness and stuff, but then all of a sudden it started to change. My body started to adapt to it, and then I started to feel a little bit better. Obviously the football side of things completely come to a halt, and I remember going in to training and trying to do stuff with the lads just to keep myself active, my mind, my mentality, you know what I mean, trying to keep myself going, because it does put you in a deep place, you know. You start thinking, overthinking things, and putting that sort of pressure on yourself, like, am I going to be alright? And you don't want to show that to your family and stuff like that, but you end up kind of bottling it all into yourself, which can be dangerous, you know, because you can put yourself really, really down. So yeah, it was different. It was different from being a really bubbly person to having that information and news that, you know, you potentially could die. Like, that's the facts of it.
Yeah, you feel quite isolated when you're around your teammates pretty much every day. That's your life, and then all of a sudden that's taken away from you, and yeah, it must have been really hard to try and pass the time and your mental state to get your head around that as well. But not only that, you also mentioned your family is also protecting them. Did you feel like you could really open up to them, or did you feel like you had to be strong for them to protect your family?
Yeah, no, you guarantee, like, and I'm sure a lot of people who've been through illnesses in any shape or form, you know, you try and protect your family. You try not to say nothing because you don't want to upset them, you know. And it's very easily to be moping around the place and then telling them, you know, you're actually feeling down yourself, but that makes things worse. So you kind of bottle that. But that, as I said, you know, it can be dangerous because you do put yourself in a hole. But to be fair, I was lucky as well, because I had the football sort of background, and Torquay at the time were brilliant. You know, the players, the management, and the club itself. You know, I was able to go on to train, and they had a bit of banter with me. Football's very much banterish anyway, and I remember conversations when I'm running around and trying to keep up with the lads, just to join in, because I wasn't supposed to, but I wanted to do it to keep myself active. They were winding me up like, you've never been at the back, and blah blah blah. It was just a bit of banter, you know, but it was good for my mental health and wanted to be a part of it, you know. So those times were difficult, but I had that support, but probably bottled quite a lot of stuff, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And was there anything that helped you with that, like patient support groups or things like that, where you could go and be with other people that were in the same situation? Did that help?
No, it did. I mean, not for a while, because I didn't want to do that, because I was still in my football, you know. I'm a pro footballer, I'm fine, and everything's great.
Tough,
yeah, of course, you know, you got your own ego and what have you. But it wasn't until I joined the choir, and I laugh, but, you know, but it was the best thing that's probably happened to me in my life, because it was special people I met. I thought I saw an advert, and you kind of do these things when something goes wrong. You think, right, I'm going to try something different, I saw an advert saying, if you ever had anything to do with cancer and you like singing, you know, there's an opportunity to come and join the choir. And I thought, shall I do that? Go on in, I'll do it. You know, I love singing, being a Welshman. And I thought, you know, let's try something different. And I went to it, and it changed everything, because I got to meet people who had cancer, who were going through it at the same time as me, different types of cancer, but it left me sort of express myself with them. I could actually speak to them on a one-to-one basis, or groups or whatever, and have that freedom to say stuff I wouldn't say to my family, for the upset reason. So that was a moment that definitely helped me. And I got, you know, the choir, there was a big C at the time, and we got to, I know, eventually it got so talked about, we ended up doing a song with Leona Lewis on Stand Up to Cancer, and sang at the Royal Albert Hall in front of 3,000 people. It was immense, you know. Never even dreamt of something like that. Come on, it was like, you kind of laugh it off if someone said that to you, but it was great, you know, and those people were very, very special, and sadly there's a lot of that group that have passed away, but there's, you know, a majority of them are still, and we're still in contact, and the people that live with me forever, you know. So that was a good time. But it was the moment of being able to speak to somebody and release your fears and your worries.
It's really good that there's things like that around. And you're obviously doing really well now. You're in remission. Talk to me a little bit about the time you found out that you're in remission now, and yeah, what was the feelings going through you and your family? Celebrations, first game back on the football pitch as well, all those feelings. Talk me through a few of those.
It was a whirlwind, really. I mean, getting back to play football that same season was incredible on its own, and then obviously at the end of the season we got promoted and played at Wembley, and it was like Royal Rover stuff, you know what I mean? But obviously, you know, football is my world, as everyone would know. Anyone knows me, they would know that. But your life is more important, and your family is the key, you know, so everything is what you live and breathe for. And to be able to say to my parents and my wife and my family, my brothers, and, you know, 'cause we're very close-knit, that I'm in remission was the best feeling ever, ever, you know what I mean, because it's just something really, really special. Those times you can't replace, you know, and I've been in remission now for nearly 14, 15 years now coming up, like, and it's incredible to think that. It's mad, really. And I've literally in the last 4 months come off my treatment, so I don't take my treatment anymore, and I'm kind of in a real good place, and hopefully that'll continue, you know, and I'm a very fortunate person, and I know that, and I'm lucky to be doing what I'm doing, because it's a great club, and I'm a very fortunate person.
Yeah, doing really well now as well. Assistant manager at Yeovil Town, gone into coaching, and got your own business as well, Not On Your Todd, for helping to spread awareness for mental health. Talk to me about that a bit.
Yeah, and also the football club is brilliant. You know, we had difficult times last season, I'm not going to lie, and you know, it was very, very hard, and coming into it and the environment and stuff, it was difficult. But this season, obviously, with Martin coming into the football club, Martin Hellier, it's changed. There's a different sort of breath of fresh air around the place. The fans are really engaged with everything, because it was very difficult for them as well last season to deal with what they had to deal with. But now, as I said, it's very positive. You know, everything's looking up, and hopefully we can have a really positive season and get to where we want to get to, because this is a massive club, and I'm enjoying my time here. I love it. And hopefully we can have success this season, which is great. And then on the side, as you said, the Not On Your Todd. The Not On Your Todd was kind of something I wanted to do for many years, was have a brand, but I wanted it to have a reason and a meaning, rather than just do it for the sake of having a brand, because there's a lot of brands out there, and you know, there's some great ones, of course, but I wanted something that would give something back to people, because I go back to what we were talking about, the leukemia, and being able to open up to people that have been in the same situation. So the reason for Not On Your Todd is not on your own. There are other people out there, and it's a symbol of hope and support. So when somebody sees you wearing this top, hopefully they might go, oh, I know why you're wearing that. Is a reason for you or somebody else or whatever? And hopefully then that can start a conversation, which then might help somebody with their mental health. And it doesn't, you know, illnesses, problems at home, whatever it may be, we all have problems daily, you know. But hopefully that was kind of the reason I wanted to do it, is to give something back. And we joined up with you as the first charity to make, you know, money off every sale that we made. But the awareness of each other, it has worked really well. We've been working for 4 months together, and it's been excellent. And hopefully we've helped you, and you've helped the brand awareness. And then next month we'll move on to another charity to help them as well. So it's a 4-month schedule, which we'll go with Derby Women next month, which is another charity that yourself know as well, which is a very amazing charity. You know, which Marcus Stewart is at the football club is a big part of, and supporting as well in himself and with him as well. So it's been an amazing journey, something I wanted to do and didn't think it would do as well as it's done. But hopefully it's for the right reasons, giving people hope and a little bit of support as well.
Yeah, brilliant, and we're really appreciative of the support that you've given to us as well, not only financially with a donation from sales, but also awareness wise it's great for a small local charity like Exeter Leukaemia Fund. So yeah, thank you very much for that. And
no problem.
It's really good to see you know, talk about your whole journey, about the moment you got diagnosed with leukemia to where you are now. What was a big thing for you that you could look back on now, if you could sort of talk to yourself when you were diagnosed, to help get you through that? Do you think, what did you learn?
I think the biggest learning point for me in that time was definitely not to bottle things, like not to keep it within yourself, open up a little bit. But I think that comes with having the confidence, I suppose, to go and join another club or a group that you can express yourself, you know, and be around people that may have experienced the same sort of thing. I.e., you know, when you sort of with the brand, you can have that conversation and go, oh, I had that, you had that, or, you know, that type of thing, you know, and then you can then release your feelings and be a little bit more honest and open, I suppose. So that would be kind of the main thing, is to basically talk to people and you know, read about other stories and stuff like that, but try and get the positive ones rather than going for the negative.
Exactly, yeah. Not necessarily just about what you're going through, but, you know, sometimes people, everyone's really supportive and asking you how you're getting on, but it must be tough constantly when you're going through that to talk to people and say, oh yeah, this is how my treatment's going. So sometimes nice to just talk to people about everyday life and what's going on, what football scores are, what, you know, one of your mates did down the pub, or little things like that really make a massive difference. Yeah. And what would you say as a message now to somebody that's going through a blood cancer diagnosis, or any form of cancer really, treatment at the moment? What would you, one bit of advice or something that you can say to really help them through what they're going through?
I think personally it's definitely positivity, like, and it sometimes it can be very difficult, and I've been there. Like, I know that it's hard when you get up in the morning and you feel poor, but it's just having that mindset to think, right, you know what, I'm going to try and make this as positive as possible, and it ain't always going to be like that, but if you can get yourself into that mindset, you give yourself half a chance to have that little bit of release and a bit of positivity in the day.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much for your time today, Chris. Really appreciate your support and helping share your story for us. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks a lot.